basking in the glory of the Nuggets.
The glory of love.
No, those Nuggets are looking good.
Greg Sisk, Jesse Bless. We're going to excuse Aaron Hall today. Great to be with you. We first thing we want to jump right into is on our 601A case because Greg, you've got a little bit of news on that, right?
Well, sort of. We have had a slow stream of approvals coming in on that. We're up to 11 now. I think the last time we reported there were only a couple. So that's good. Obviously, that's not great because we have 300 plaintiffs, but it is okay, I guess. And I just saw that Aaron is looking for the Streamling link, so I'm going to send that to him.
That'd be great. He must ignore my emails, is what he does. That's okay. I don't mind it. So, and Greg, you said one person got an RFE last week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we don't know. We can reach out to that plaintiff. That just happened today, I think, or in the last 24 hours. So we'll find out what's the story. But we don't know whether that. I mean, that could be good news. A lot of times that'll come like at the last second, where there's just one last piece of.
Well, you know what the shocking thing about this, Greg, is how this is the first RFE that we've seen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like hardly any RFEs on these cases. And maybe it's because, those of us that prepare these cases have been doing this so long, we know all the details have to be there. So you don't really get a lot of RFEs on these cases. But it's a sign. Now,
for those who really don't know anything about immigration, RFE is request for evidence, but I'm guessing most people know what that is by now.
Yeah.
I would think, though, that I'd love to see the RFE because one of the things we've talked about before is that the lapse in time has made some of the evidence stale. And I could understand why they would come back and say, hey, tell me about that 3-year-old who's now 6. How is the child doing? That's typical.
But in some ways, that's awful that they would that
absolutely
uses the passage of time to deny a case that was clearly approvable when it was filed.
100%.
So I would also note that we are still working with our colleagues on finalizing an update to the court of the cases that have been approved out of order. And I feel confident we'll get that filed quickly here this week. And other than that, the court has not ruled. So we have no decision from the court. And we're just kind of waiting. I'm actually a little surprised, Jess, that we haven't gotten anything yet, but courts are busy, and that's kind of the way it is.
I mean, I think it's a hard case. I really do. I think there's a lot to go through. There was a lot of paper thrown around by us and by the government. A lot of arguments that are new that the judge can't just go and do a search on her little computer and find the answers. It's not that clear. I think she's taking it. I don't have a problem with the time. I mean, I know the plaintiffs do, and I get that, but I'd hate to see a judge rush to a bad decision.
Yeah,
right?
And honestly, if we were going to get a bad decision, I think we probably would have got it already. As we learned in some of our other cases, if the judge wants to get rid of a case, the judge is going to get rid of the case quickly.
I think what's surprising for me is she hasn't set a hearing date.
That is interesting. Maybe she feels that a hearing would not be helpful to her.
Perfect. Because that would probably benefit us. I think she would give plaintiffs the opportunity. I don't mean to say it's a bad sign if she sets a hearing, but if she doesn't, I think that would tend to favor our side.
I agree. Aaron, welcome.
You guys read too many tea leaves. Who knows what she's thinking.
I spend all day giving predictions about cases in federal court. I'm now. That's my job.
You're the judge whisperer.
Yeah, that's all I do.
What do you think? Hey, Aaron, I want to have you touch base on our next topic, which is the 601s. Give us an update on the 601 case.
Yeah, thanks. So we have a few people who are going to be added to the case, and I've been emailing with them over the last few days. We have what we need from all but one of them to get it filed, and I'm hoping that we have that today so that we can file the case and then, file the amended complaint, which will add the plaintiffs. And then we're just waiting on the government to either file their answer or their motion to dismiss.
Have they entered? They have not entered an appearance yet that I'm
They
aware
have
of.
not. They're taking their time.
And we got about halfway through 60 days at this point. Is that kind of where we are?
No, we're a little more than that.
A little bit more?
Yeah.
Maybe at 40 days, maybe 2-3 weeks left.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. There's no news on that. And none of our plaintiffs have been approved in that case yet. I would just note that in the EB5 case, we have nothing. The government has until July 15th to get us the discovery. So we hopefully.
I don't want to put you on. I don't want to jump the line and put you on the spot, but I will.
Okay.
What are your priority dates in those cases? Are you like 2019?
No, yes, we are all the way through November of 2020.
That's when they filed 2020.
I think they're 2019. These are all 2019 cases up until November.
Okay, yeah, because my the DC plaintiffs, for that appeal, or the ones that are remaining are fall 2019, November 2019, spring 2019 has seemed to have been all. Well, they're going out.
I will tell you, if you recall, what the government told me was that for our plaintiffs that were from that had filed, because they stagger from like May to November, and the plaintiffs that remained, because 3 of them had been approved, the June ones were going to an adjudicator this month. The August one was going to an adjudicator, is what their prediction is, by July, and that she believed that the November cases would be handled before the end of the year. That was what she told me on the processing. But we'll see, because what we really want in this discovery is so we can see who they've actually been adjudicating. Again, going back to the issue of they're not taking cases in order, they're not doing priority date adjudication, and it's screwing up everybody's case.
You know what's crazy? And I hate that EB5 litigation is just so tough because the government has the upper hand right now in federal court. But I couldn't help myself. I filed for someone who has been pending since 2017.
Good for you. Good for you.
I mean, at some point they have to be able to see like they're not following the order.
No.
I mean, 2017.
Once we get my discovery, I think the cases are going to get a lot easier. I do.
Yeah.
I think they get a lot easier. And other than that, I don't really have any other updates. To Go and Acker case is still pending.
We'll have some news on Ukrainians in a couple of days, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. So tell us about the Ukrainians. We should know here in a couple of days, Greg.
So we have our plaintiffs lined up for. Thank you, Aaron, for helping get these people locked down. But we have our class reps for the fee part of the case. I think we have not determined for sure which court yet, right? Or have we decided?
It's going to be DC.
It is DC. Okay, so we're filing in DC district, and yeah, I mean, the pleadings look like they're in pretty good shape. So I guess that's happening.
I think
hopefully this week. Was there a reason why that we're waiting?
I think it's just being polished up. I would expect it could be filed even today.
Yeah, so that's a pretty major case for people that are unaware of it. And it's really kind of a first for us. We are seeking refunds of overcharges by the USCIS on I-765 fees for Ukrainians. The government had basically admitted that it did wrong, and our legal theory that we had from last year was that they were authorized to work incident to their status. And they stopped charging in November for that, but they did not refund any of the fees from that they had collected for people before they made their announcement, without any explanation as far as why that was the case, since they admitted that they were in fact authorized to work. So it should be interesting. I think it's hard for me to see sort of like what their big defense is going to be, but we'll see.
It's our money, and we're not giving it back. I think that's the defense.
Well, I think that their opinion on it was that they were being generous about it and that they didn't have to actually do what they did. But
they were, there's a law that says that the Secretary of Homeland Security can recoup fees for the cost of doing business, and so that trumps the specific provision about the fee waiver. Good luck. I mean, we'll see what the court says.
Well, their actions contradict that, though, because if they really thought that they had the discretion to do it, they would have. I mean, they did this in response to a lawsuit. They said this was part of settlement negotiations with us, so it was sort of. I mean,
Greg, it had nothing to do with the lawsuit. They had it planned all along.
Which was a stretch.
They were just going to get to it.
Well, they told the judge they were discussing settlement with us, even though they weren't really telling us anything that they were discussing.
Yeah,
supposedly with us.
They were having discussions between their lawyers and them, not
right.
But the only reason it occurred was because of the lawsuit. Hey, I do want to just touch base on the bill that's being dropped today by Reps Salazar and Escobar.
Yeah, I read that yesterday. This is the one that's.
This is a big
at birth
deal. This is a big freaking deal because it gets rid of counting spouses and family. So basically, without increasing numbers are doubled.
Wait, is this not they introduced a bill like in March? This is the different bill.
One of them introduced a bill, the Citizenship Act, a while ago. This is a bipartisan bill.
These two did another bill and also in March.
This is a big deal though because it also includes the Family United Act.
That's the one.
Which says if an undocumented spouse of a U.S. citizen denied a visa, so there's relief there. Temporary family visitation reduces backlogs.
Also, children it changes the chart again, so no residency required for somebody to pass citizenship on to their child.
This has a lot of good stuff in it. I don't have the full text of the bill though, so I don't.
Why do you think that would have any chance of going anywhere?
What's that?
Well, I mean, I'm just curious. I think the only way that that's going anywhere is if it gets dropped into something as well.
This is, they talk about, and I'm the naysayer, right? I'm no way they're going to pass any immigration stuff, but mostly they've just thrown junk out there, like that crazy bill that the Republicans passed that's never going to be attached to anything. That bill the Republicans passed, though, could be attached to this, and then you have to get Democratic buy-in.
Yeah.
You want to give ICE more money? Great. You want to build a wall? Whatever. But
the only thing that makes me nervous is this debt. Is the debt bill?
They're not going to attach an immigration provision.
Well, they're trying. There is an effort by the Republicans to get
there
something
is zero chance
there,
that's going to happen.
And that is the kind of thing where under a tremendous amount of time pressure, weird things might happen.
Yeah. Well, my prediction is zero chance that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that's right because I think it can only really be on balance bad things if that happens.
But anyway, this is an interesting bill. It's what's different about this bill is that it's bipartisan, a truly bipartisan bill.
Yeah.
It's not just like one. This is actually a true bipartisan bill.
Chuck, I can show you about 10 healthcare related immigration bills that have been bipartisan in the last three Congresses, none of which and all of which were extremely popular, some of which were filibuster proof and still didn't go anywhere.
Speaking of this, as a part-time Tennessee resident and you as a full-time Tennessee resident, you are aware, I presume, that the Tennessee legislature passed a bill that allows international medical graduates to obtain licensure and practice independently without completing a U.S. residency program.
Yeah, it's not. It's a little narrower than that as far as who it applies to. But yeah, that was that. You know how I know about that because that was done on the same day that they kicked my legislator out.
Tennessee is a weird state, man. They do good stuff like this and they do crazy butt stuff.
Yeah.
Let's look at some questions that we got here. We've got Ash. Happy Tuesday. Can I apply for a B2 visa with you because of Toronto using a Canadian address while in the U.S. with the EAD expiring? Well, you can set an appointment at the consulate.
Why do you need to go to a consulate for that?
I don't know where Ash is from. If you're Canadian, you don't need a visa.
If you're not and you have an EAD and you're still in status, you could apply for a change in the U.S.
I think we're missing information here.
We're missing information.
I don't know what your EAD is based on. Isn't U.S. Record put President of Hart? Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. Hart doesn't exist on the USCIS website.
It's in our mind. It's in their minds.
Because it's not a real service center. Remember, this is a virtual service center. And to quote, work for the virtual service center, you have to live within 4 hours of one of the other service centers, Potomac or Nebraska. Because again, you have to travel to get the files from these places. So I don't think we'll ever see.
Somebody's keeping track, though, of these people work for that service, even though they are,
Well,
they're working for the Hart Service Center. They are keeping data. So I disagree. I think they'll
work. I mean, so their chain of command goes through this virtual service center that nobody has control of, and thus you could sue anywhere. By the way, if you sue the Hart Service Center because it's virtual.
Well, there is in theory a staff at the top, an administrative staff.
Well, if there's any experience from this, it's a bloated, overcompensated management staff.
I think we will see some data probably in the next couple of months starting to come from them.
All right. So LB, does the judge limit a certain amount of time? No. Judges can take as long as they want.
Yeah,
is that right, Jesse?
In other cases.
Ask our friends in the diversity lottery case.
Yeah.
All right, Kiara, hello. Can you share the receipt?
Yeah, I just looked at that, Chuck, while we were because I saw that question coming. Here's what I can tell you: out of the 11 that we had, the first two that we had one from a couple 2 months ago, that was July 2020. Then the next one was earlier this month, and that was February 2020. The last 9 that we had, which are all in the last week and a half, are all fall of 2019. So now they seem like they're trying to do the old ones first, but they were clearly not doing that for the first couple.
Yeah. Well, because they realize if they don't do them in case order, we will call them out, which is why we need to call them out, because we have the proof they went out of case order.
Right.
And then they'll say, well, Judge, now we're doing it in case order. Judge's like, wait a second, you can't change that.
We got sued.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. Filing dates. Okay, where you got that. Erica, good morning. Do you think the laws that are being passed in Florida help our case? I don't think they're relevant to the case that we have. I just feel terrible for anybody who lives in Florida that has to deal with this nightmare.
All right, yeah. The Florida stuff, I guess that the one that I'm fascinated about is the Chinese Exclusion Act of 2023 in Florida, because, by the way, Chuck, our state and a bunch of other states in our area are passing copycat bills, or at least trying to pass copycat bills. But that's that being said, in Florida, I mean, actually there might be some issues with federal preemption on some of this stuff too that's coming down.
Yeah, I don't understand I don't think they can get around the Supreme Court precedent on that preemption. I mean, there's been cases recently. I mean, someone needs to just put that on there and
There's a bill on nationality discrimination in housing, the Fair Housing Act or something like that. And
these are permanent residents of the United States that are required to maintain a foreign citizenship so they have a passport, right?
Right.
So you're discriminating against permanent residents? I mean, it's no way this passes muster. I mean,
yeah.
And already a group has already sued. A group of Chinese permanent residents already filed a lawsuit in Florida.
Yeah. Oh, did they? Good. Yeah. It's
really ridiculous. By the way, I did want to mention, I just did a little bit of research on Hart. Hart has 150 currently staffed positions.
Oh.
And they're going to they're going to grow to 480 by the end of 2024. And 2024.
All right.
So there's apparently 43 months. And here's the best part, somebody pointed out. Clearly, when Hart was the idea of this, it did not include 601As. We all know that, right? They threw 601As to account for working on these cases. Come on, we all know that, right? Because none of the hard cases generate fees. None of them generate fees. Humanitarian parole doesn't have fees.
Mhm.
So where were the fees coming for all these people? Anyway, there's that. Go, we already talked about it. Nothing. Would you interpret long delay to be a good sign? Again, we've talked endlessly about this. We would refer you to the last videos. It's a complicated case. It's very complicated with massive repercussions on future future failures of the government to do their job.
Yeah, I would say, like, I think something else is happening, because when I was there arguing the case a couple weeks ago, there's a lot of January 6th criminal appeals, and those actually have to be decided as a priority. So those criminal appeals are maybe somewhat to blame, but again, this isn't something like this is unheard of, this type of delay. It's just painful. That's all it is.
So, Aaron, are you a little happy about those nuggets?
Let's go.
Are you eating chicken nuggets? It's early for chicken nuggets, but
it's yeah. Good job. Good comment, Tim. Let's talk nuggets.
They're out of all the other teams in the West, being a Grizzlies fan, they are the ones that annoy me the least. So I'm rooting for the Nuggets.
Let's talk to Jesse about the Celtics, though.
Yeah. Fine. I got to walk through 17 banners to get to my bathroom in the morning.
Prudent time for the judge to rule. Well, prudent time would be last week. When your question is when the judge is going to rule, we don't know. Yeah. I would suspect sooner rather than later. This is not like the appeal case. She'll get to this. Jesse, what makes you so sure Judge Henderson will rule against us and go? Oh, okay. So you were not at oral argument. If you had been at oral argument, you would have known that I believe she was paying Mario Kart while the oral argument was going on.
No, she also
multitasking because she already made up her mind that she believed us.
No, she also made the only time she talked during the entire argument, she said, "Why can't they just apply again?" Yeah. So she was clearly not on the DV train. Okay. She's also filed. Go look at her history of ruling in immigration cases. That gives you a little bit more of tea leaves. But her comment at the argument, like, "Why can't they just apply again?" That shows you that, I mean, even the government wasn't making that argument. They had got off that. I mean, give me a break.
We'll see what her court convinces her of.
Nasreen wants to know if he can add information to his pending 601A case. I mean, I'm not your lawyer. You should talk to your lawyer about that. But I will just tell you, generally speaking, there's no way to add information to the case. Just not. You just have to wait. Yeah. Congrats, by the way. Totally awesome. Good afternoon, 61 complaint filed. Any good news? No, we already addressed that a few minutes ago. No. Still seems to go to prove it after our part of that. Could you submit this information? If you've got information of 601s being adjudicated out of order, Carly, email that to Aaron.
Yeah.
Email it to Aaron. Okay. Do you have a time frame to when a new group of plaintiffs for 601? Yes, Aaron?
I think, well, will you get notification? Yeah, I'll send an email with a copy of the complaint. Time frame, I'm hoping today, because there's just one piece of information I'm waiting on from one person, and once I get it, we can file it. But we can't hold it up much longer. I know you all want to be added as soon as possible, so if it's not today, then it'll be tomorrow, and I'll get you a copy as soon as we have it.
I like the dog.
With the current EB5 retrogression, will the applications in the lawsuit be adjudicated? We're looking at the India retrogression for June of April 2017. That is an excellent question.
That's cool.
And because this retrogression, part of the information that we're getting in discovery will help us deal with this retrogression, because what is the basis of retrogressing people if there are no pending applications from 2017? What Indian April 17 exists, Jesse, for EB5? There should be none.
Well, just like EB2. Why is it 2011 if you've already done the 2013s and 14s?
Well, the discovery we're getting is going to help us answer that question.
Yeah. I would say, though, I'm not involved in that case, so I can make my opinion. again, if you're asking a judge to issue a visa for someone who's retrogressed, I think that's a really difficult argument, and it hasn't proved successful that I'm aware of.
But if the retrogression itself is in bad faith,
yep. Or if you can catch them going, like, again, that DC circuit that I love, Mina Z, they do have to follow the order of consideration under the law. And if you can prove that they didn't, and then this was the result, perhaps there's wiggle room.
Yeah, I mean, again, how do you retrogress a full year if there shouldn't even be anybody pending at this point?
I'll tell you right now.
They're adjudicating spring 2019 cases. Who doesn't have their green card with a 2017 priority date?
I'll tell you what, if again, I always put this disclaimer in there. I'm never going to be a federal judge, but if I was, and I had one of these cases, I would subpoena whoever is responsible after Charlie for the visa bulletin, and I would bring him or her to the court to describe and to explain how they've done it in the last 2 years, because there's really a total mystery behind a lot of the category, not just EB5, not just EB2 India. Like, it's crazy town. The EB4s, like, how did they come up with that? I mean, I know, like, you can trace it.
F2As.
Yeah, F4s. They haven't. I mean, it's like it's crazy town.
Well, interesting. We had a meeting recently where we sat down with Charlie, spoke to a group of handsome and beautiful immigration lawyers, and Charlie is as perplexed about some of these things as we are.
Yeah.
And here's the man who trained the person who is currently making these decisions.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Wow.
Just
Listen,
saying.
it's like MA trained Joe Missoula, but he's it doesn't work.
I am an Indian citizen who came here on an F1, RN on STEM, and he moved to Canada in July as H4 visa trials are done. Change of status takes 31 months. Oh, so you're in Canada you're in the US on a STEM EAD, and you want to know, can you apply now for an appointment 2 years from now? Yeah, of course, just make an appointment. She wants to be able to travel back to the United States on a visitor visa while she's presumably getting Canadian landed immigrant status. Yeah, make an appointment now because it's 2 years out, which is, by the way, crazy. Well, it's surprised at immigration office, I will declare that I worked on 4 official jobs as a worker. No, you can work as many jobs as you can capacity to do that. When are you declaring it? I mean, good for you. Not every job you work is a full-time job. So, and if you worked 4 official jobs, that's 40 hours. That's 160. Of course, I didn't go to law school. I didn't go to math school, but so you work 3 part-time jobs, because 120 hours by 4 is 30. All right. He's asking for, I don't know. You have to ask a Canadian immigration lawyer. If you have pending 61 and live in Florida, because you're being deported, it's a great question. You don't get deported from Florida. You just make the wise decision to move.
I think DeSantis thinks he has the power to deport.
Yeah, I don't think they've given that to Ron DeSantis yet.
Yeah.
So no, it's not a deportation. Let's see. Vignesh, HMB, any updates on notice to serve the government? Yeah, the government has contacted me on my FOIA, and they asked for 30 more days. I said, I'll give it to you. Good guy. But all I want to know, the only fact outstanding that you have not released publicly is how many new H-1Bs did you approve in fiscal year 2021 and fiscal year 2022? Did you use all 85,000?
Right.
You have that information. I don't think you need 30 days for it. And I'm waiting. So there we are. Raleigh Pedro, first transfer note said the case we moved to the primary interview, then the second the musical chairs of the files, nobody's looked at them yet. There's nobody going through files at a service center saying, this looks quite complicated. I think we'll send this for faster review to somewhere else.
Move it to Missouri.
Nobody looked at it. They just shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic.
Oh, except for 9 people.
Next to 9 people got approved. True. They must have been only 2 hours from the server center. Does the USCIS plan to transition all application online filing? Yes. The answer is that is their goal, is to make everything online. And it's the same goal they had in 2000 when George Bush was elected. And the then general counsel of the USCIS, Robert Devine, came to AILA and said, we're like within a few months of being completely online. We're going to have 3 forms. That's it, just 3 forms. An employer form, a U.S. petitioner form, and a foreign national form. And we'll do everything off these forms, 6 months. Be ready to go. Billions of dollars later.
2 Texas stadiums.
you can now renew your green card online. So, yes. Yeah, you will. But, for example, if you're filing an I-130, you should file it online. You're going to get adjudication faster. Why? Because if you file it on paper, they are literally typing in the information. I'm not even sure they're scanning it directly in. I think they're typing it in. And so many forms are filed in handwriting still. So it's, it's a nightmare. It's a Sanjay. When will the application be adjudicated with the current processing times? I question which applications. I don't know which ones you're talking about.
We asked the EB-5 question before.
Gustavo, they can easily deport me even if I have a 601A pending, even when I have a super clean record. Well, here's the reality. Biden is not deporting anyone. Really. Unless you have a criminal arrest for drugs or a felony conviction for something, or you recently showed up at the border, you are not being deported. You're not. Am I wrong about that, Aaron?
No, but with the processing time, we're going to have a new
I think this is
administration.
on like live streaming.
Oh yeah, when President Trump resumes, yes. I mean, but even, Gustavo, even if you were picked up, let's say for manejando sin licencia, you were driving while Hispanic, right? What happens? Well, you get a bond, and you have to have a master calendar hearing and a merit hearing in a court with 2.5 million pending cases and 500 judges. You're here for the long haul. 601As having no 601As, right, Aaron? Never expire.
No, but they can go away.
Can be revoked.
Yeah, automatically.
What do you mean?
So if they go abroad, I think and if you go and it turns out you need to get a 601 yeah. So they're not like forever.
No,
but you got to be careful when you get an approval and you go abroad that you have everything else in order.
Okay, Sanjay, good. On EB-5 case, your question is, when will the applicant do the current processing time? I mean, if they file today, who knows? If you're now within the time frame they're processing, again, for our clients, they told us that would be by the end of the year for all. I think,
going back to the retrogression, he probably would
when they get premium processing.
He would fall out of the availability kind of queue. That may be what they're doing with that. I mean, I don't know how they're doing that with the retrogression, because if they follow that visa availability approach, they should technically put those on hold and not deal with them.
Because India dates for filing is 2019.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how they can judge. We're going to December 2019. So all of our plaintiffs are current for filing. If they were abroad, of course, right? Because employment doesn't count for USCIS. But the 2017 retrogression date for approvals makes no numerical sense to me.
No.
Okay. Do approved cases have the same transfer dates that most of us do, or they have no transfer? I don't know, Greg, if you can pull up the history on each case, not when they transferred, where they transferred, who did that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it right now. Hang on a sec. All of these cases were transferred in the early part of May. That we can see. They all around May 1st. The ones that just got approved all had transfers on May 1st. We can't see on here where they were transferred to. We just can see that they had a transfer on May 1st and they were approved between May 18th and May 20th.
Okay, Luz Davina, the 2019 plaintiffs are the ones that are being approved right now, which means no 20, as far as I know, no 2020 filings have been approved yet. Is that right, Greg?
Yeah, just the ones that are just being approved are all 2019s, except for the the one that was approved on May 12th was received on February 3rd, 2020.
And the Potomac, were they all from Potomac? I don't know. I don't know how you can tell
You
that.
can't tell from the data scraping where they are. You just see there's what was changed, but you don't see which office is handling, unfortunately. I mean, we can reach out to these people individually and see.
Great.
If
Well,
they know. I'm not sure they know.
I agree. All right, everybody. It's great to be with you this week. Yes, hopefully we'll hear from our friends shortly about that new filing in the 601A case with the data. And you guys have a wonderful week. I will not be here the next 2 weeks. So just remember that, guys. You're in charge the next 2 weeks. I'm not in charge. I will not be in the country.
Okay. I say we disrupt Chuck on his vacation.
So if they don't show up next Tuesday, don't be wanting to me on my Twitter. It's their fault for the next 2 weeks. And I will not be joining you from Heidelberg.
Someplace fun.
All right, you guys. Have a good week.
All right.
All right.